but it actually uses like its pinky and its thumb to pick it up, and then uses its fingers to spin it. I hate how you guys derail the freaking crap out of it.
It's a weird thing.
Donkey Kong with an octopus penis. Hello and welcome to Strange Conversations, where we gather.
I have a mild erection right now. I mean,
that was interesting.
Well,
we come to talk to you about what we believe is the important things to talk about this week. What is going on here?
The Donkey Kong, the thing that gave you the erection?
No.
Just stop talking, all of you. There's an intro having here. Over on my left, the interrupter, Mark Plover.
Sick Mark.
On my other left.
Dylan. I don't know why I was trying to figure out how I was right.
What's your last name?
Solid blue screen.
Dylan's not.
With the new hairstyle. Expect more of this. We're going to dye it next week. And over on my right.
Yeah, John Pettit.
Handsome John. I am Brent Metcalf, and I think I'm just going to kick it over to Dylan to talk about what we need to talk about because I'm totally derailed.
When I think of smooth transitions, this is like a staircase.
Yeah.
Basically,
Brent doesn't like it when he gets derailed.
but basically every single week there's a ton of stuff out there. There's a ton of news and whatnot. But this is the important. This is getting worse. This is getting worse every single week. So, being as Brent likes to interrupt people, let's let him start today. The first bit of news that he is tantalizingly excited about.
I'm so excited
is
too.
Game
I'm
of
going to
Thrones
cut you
prequel.
off. No, I'm cutting you off. We're going straight to Guacamelee 2 has been announced with a date and price for PS4.
Where's
Vita?
I just want to note real quick.
What is it?
Nobody cares. Real quick, the tragic moment of this, John, is you and Mark have no idea to this probably, but Brent tweets this earlier, right? I reply to Brent talking crap about the Vita. He then slays me back. Creators of Guacamelee like his tweet.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Amazing thing ever. I was like, please. They love the Vita.
Why?
Made lots
Why
of money
did
off
this
the
happen?
Vita.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So-
Why didn't you have me, bro?
I'm sorry.
I don't think he
I don't
added
at you in every
I would have
conversation.
backed you up, man.
I don't think he added anybody. I just called him out.
Yeah.
I know. I wanted to back you up.
So Guacamelee 2, August 21st. It is going to be $20. It'll come out on PS4 and PC first.
Yeah.
This is a fully fledged sequel to the original, which will also have 4-player co-op drop in and drop out, which is super exciting for PS4 owners and
Yeah.
PC, I assume. I don't know how often you guys play local co-op on a PC.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't want it at all.
On PS4, it's super nice. As long as they allow trophies for everyone who is signed in, then
Cross
we
your
will be golden because they had some issues with how trophies work on Super Turbo Championship Edition. I know the game's coming out soon, but you guys can fix a couple of these flags. You listen to me. Drinkbox. I love you guys. I do wonder if there's a possibility of a Vita port. Obviously, they've built this more likely with PS4, PC, Xbox in mind. I assume at some point in time it's going to make its way to Switch. There's no reason why it wouldn't. Severed made its way over there, so did Super Turbo Championship Edition. And that portable gaming is really where they've made quite a bit of money. They have gone over and over again and talked about how they've made a tremendous amount of money off of the Vita, sales-wise, which is always surprising. But I am just super excited because this game is amazing. The original was fantastic. I celebrated a Cinco de Mayo playing with our friend Brian, where we just had frozen margaritas and platinum the game. So,
Yeah.
I will most likely play with you because of local co-op.
yeah, buddy.
Because I hate local co-op on PC. It's the worst.
Yeah, no.
It's the absolute most cancer.
The only time it worked was whenever you had your desktop hooked up to the television, and the three of us had to use one like Xbox 360 receiver unit for 3 controllers that kept disconnecting. Actually,
Yeah.
it was really bad.
Really hoping you're saying use one keyboard. You don't have to watch the different
I had to play.
spots.
I played the co-op game like that at one of our old apartments way back in the day. It's the worst. Don't ever do that.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
I don't
It is.
understand why games are defaulted like that. It's dumb. But moving on to the news that is actually relevant that he so rudely interrupted.
That's all I
Game
am.
of Thrones prequels.
Mar-
5 pilots, 1 winner.
One winner, and the winner is a prequel about the Golden Age of Heroes. Does anybody know what that means?
No, I'm
Nope.
going to go back to his
Absolutely.
question of what is that?
Exactly. So we have no idea what this actually entails. Golden Age is a very nebulous term, so that could include the Targaryen uprising. It could include, Rhaegar on his throne right before the whole city burns.
Why wouldn't it be the golden hair of the luscious lion Lannisters?
It could be the Lannisters. There's a possibility that it could involve Robert's Rebellion, but I think there's been rumors that has been squashed, which in my opinion, is super smart. I don't think they need to go that short. They should go further back. I would love to see the Targaryens' invasion of Westeros.
I would just love to see the Targaryens. They don't have to invade.
Just them sitting in their normal day. They're like
just having a good day.
just cooking
in the yard.
Out there building castles with dragons.
Yeah.
I just want to see the Golden Girls come out there, like 4 old ladies standing in armor.
So we're from Westeros. I don't
Betty
know
White.
this accent.
Betty. What was that attempt? I just want to see Betty White standing up there in armor.
Wicked Witch of the West.
There you go. There you go. Betty White as the Wicked Witch of the West in Westeros.
Oh, mic drop right there.
I can't actually drop this mic, so I just smacked it.
This pains
You
me,
could just knock the whole thing over. That would have worked too.
I think going with new characters is going to be better off in there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the further away they get from our current timeline, they're better off.
Yeah.
How many name drops? Is HBO doing this?
HBO is 100% doing this.
How many name drops we get?
We're going to get a lot of name drops.
100%.
I mean, I would...
Can we get Brand the Builder? Can we just throw them all in there?
Oh, Brand the Builder would be
Great
really
time.
cool. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Building up the wall. See, this is the thing, is that it could go back further than the Targaryens ever came over.
How about this? Real plot twist. 300 years in the future.
Wow, there's time travel.
What?
Yeah, that's how they get there. It's the prequel, so it's...
At first, I was like, man, what episode did I miss?
I was gonna say, like, what?
I know there was some weird stuff.
I was like, we need to talk about this after this. I don't want to seem like an idiot.
Stuff. So the next bit of news that we wanted to talk about is that Nintendo now has available for pre-order.
Yeah, their online service. And the only reason I want to bring this up is because it was the weirdest thing I think I've seen.
You can pre-order an online membership?
Yeah, because Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus came out. There was no such thing there. Granted, 360 came with Live, so that was kind of in automatically. But it was just super bizarre. You can buy the card right now on Amazon. It's $20 if you don't really know what's on it or what it'll be used for other than to play online.
This just feels like you're getting some of those. You remember the Virgin prepaid cell phones?
Yeah.
Like you're just getting some minutes, but you don't have the phone yet.
Yep.
Like you have the minutes for Christmas, but you're getting the phone for your birthday.
Yeah.
So you just hold them.
Well, it makes me laugh, too, because it's one thing if I could understand if, like, I'm pre-ordering a game, I'm going to walk into a GameStop or a Target, I'm going to grab that card, I'm going to go home, put the code in, we're done, because I'm paranoid I don't want my credit card on my machine. It's another thing entirely where it's like, here's this service. Oh, that's right. It's on now. Like, you can do that from the system. You don't have to go through the extra steps.
There has to be something else they're going to be giving for doing that.
No.
No? Nothing?
Nothing.
Not even a surprise, you think?
Not as far as we know.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, that's why I said surprise.
Like free
Wouldn't
couple months or something like that, I might understand. And like there has to be some sort of benefit to pre-order. Like otherwise, what's the point? Like
it's Nintendo.
When I read that story, I thought it was fake. When I saw this on the list, I was like, what am I missing out of this?
2 weeks from now, Nintendo announces they never sold the prepaid cards. The company was really had a 1 for an eye instead. We just all got tricked.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting, to be honest. I was like, this.
I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
To be continued. So in other news, Devil May Cry 5 getting some deets.
Yeah, I got a Game Informer interview that was kind of interesting. They were talking to the director and saying, well, they were trying to get as much information out of him as possible, especially because on the front of the box you have a guy that has, no weapons on him. It's like, what is he going to be used for? And then of course you got Nero, who's got a autonomous arm, and you're like, what is that going to be going for? And there's just a lot of questions that were asked, and the only thing we really got was that this story is really based on Nero, and it's a lot like the past Devil May Cry's, not the DMC reboot, which I don't know why people didn't like, but they gave it a lot of crap.
Heathens is what they are.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool.
The more impressive takeaway from this whole article to me is that Game Informer still exists. I'd forgot completely about it until I just thought it was the magazine from IGN or from GameStop.
It is. But
yeah, but I mean that's the only thing I'd ever known it from.
Yeah.
So their website is actually super nice. They are doing a really good job of grabbing interviews.
That's usually where I get the best interviews.
Yeah, they're getting some really good stuff. They've started doing with their cover stories videos to go alongside with it. So like they did Spider-Man in June during the E3, and they had the creative director come in and answer 107 questions about Spider-Man.
That's a whole lot of questions.
It's a 5-minute video, and it's like a quick fire. And some of them are serious of like, hey, are we going to see more suits in the game than what you've announced? Yes. And some of them are really silly. Like, is he going to be fighting a wrestler? He's like, no. Yes. Like, so it's a good mix of information and comedy, but they also have some really in-depth stuff. Like, they just broke down Destiny 2's new DLC is coming out in September.
And there's this whole expansion. It's not DLC.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking something up real quickly, so I don't want to jump off of Devil May Cry 5 just yet if you have something else to say.
Well,
the new trailer.
It's funny because Brent hates Nero. like with a burning passion.
Because you didn't like the trailer, right?
I don't know. I thought the trailer looked awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not the guy you want.
It's not Dante.
Yeah.
Well, Dante's also got a beard, which people are like, "Oh, this is cool." Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Cool
like,
kids lose their beards.
No.
Nero is only annoying because one of my favorite things about Game of Thrones, about Devil May Cry is the juggling of weapons. Like, I don't like the first Devil May Cry is good, but one of my annoyances going back to it is you have 2 or 3 weapons max.
Yeah.
So I like the variety. Nero does not have that kind of variety. He stays with 1 sword the entire game and 1 gun, and you earn new abilities for that. But it's
the Devil Bringer.
It's not enough. The Devil Bringer sucked in that iteration. It was made better in DMC. In DMC, the Devil Bringer is amazing, and I hope they learn from that.
Yeah, they will.
The point I wanted to bring up is that they said in the interview that this game started development after they released the Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, which launched in December 2014. So this game has been going for quite some time.
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that, they said, I think that it's 70% done. Like, we're going to be seeing it soon.
Yeah,
So.
it's coming out in March 2019.
So.
That was the final kicker. March 2019 is going to be when we expect to see it.
It's just a gauntlet. Like, there's a 60-day window of pure game release death.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm not.
And it's like, nah, middle.
I don't know.
Right in
I
the
feel
middle.
like the people that are going to want to play Devil May Cry, especially, from the past storyline that people really loved it from, even, again, DMC got crap. I think that they'll still get plenty of hits from it because people have been craving this game for a very long time.
I agree.
You just kind of hurt your new fan base coming in, unfortunately, because it's like, oh, I've already bought Anthem and The Division and these other 7 games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's got to pick and choose.
Don't worry.
Yeah, choose one to fight.
Anthem will be delayed till April.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think we're going to see a lot of delays coming up here soon.
I think it's going to hold true, just like PS5 next year. Next bit of news is that
again? You?
Somebody
Is that it?
yeah,
Is that
it's like
all?
a fortune teller or something. Next bit of news that next bit of news that we had is actually according to John, Quantic Labor, but they're actually known as Quantic Dream. They got into a little bit of a labor dispute in the old country of France, and how'd that work out for them?
Well, France works a little bit differently than we do, but apparently they had a huge dispute back in January where people had quit and saying that it was a toxic environment. And they even started pulling what we consider unemployment, essentially. Except because they voluntarily quit, normally you wouldn't get unemployment in this case. But because it was a toxic environment, they were being able to pull their unemployment. And the case went against Quantic Dream.
So it's really interesting because I did a little bit of digging here, and how it works is that Quantic Dream owes that employee a specific amount of money.
Yeah.
So they're paying what we would consider a severance of sorts, but because they left of their own free will, Quantic Dream fought and said, we don't owe them anything. The French government said, no, you do, and here's why.
Because you're now.
Yeah, essentially. And this is
They made a bunch of pictures of people in
Photoshop.
risque
Yeah.
photos, racist photos, and was like, hey, we put your head here. And it was like, oh.
They put it in a giant
Probably felt a little
directory.
uncomfortable.
This is the second lawsuit they've lost. This one's recent. They lost another one a couple years back. It's really interesting to watch. But what's more intriguing to me is that there are 2 other employees that also went into a lawsuit situation, and the French government passed on it, so they did not have enough there, essentially, to fight for it. So
Well, apparently these people walked away with the files of all of the pictures they created.
yeah, which was super dumb. Come on.
It's very interesting. It's another reason I don't ever want to be that popular, because I feel like I'm going to say something to you in a weird work chat, and that's the end.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to burn you to the ground the second you get too famous.
100%. It's going to be a terrible case. That's
Well,
hope that never happens.
because they were so just standoffish when they were putting the lawsuit against the publisher, saying, "Oh, this is slander."
They're
inflammatory.
insane. They put lawsuits against various news outlets. They have been fighting tooth and nail, saying that this is not us. This is all slander. You guys are
shocked.
lying about us.
Quote, unquote.
I'm like, you doubling down, but it doesn't always mean you're gonna win.
Nope.
Isn't Quantic Dreams the company that was making the game based upon the show, right? The show game combination, right?
No,
Oh,
they
is it
did
Detroit?
Detroit,
And,
and
wow.
Heavy
I
Rain.
was thinking-
Heavy Rain, thank you.
What's the other company I'm thinking about?
You're thinking of my brain is like
That's young, yeah.
Quantic Dream. No, it's
That's
Remedy.
Nope.
Yes, because Quantic
at all.
Quantic whatever is the game you're talking about with the show on Xbox One.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Remedy is the studio.
Remedy is the studio,
But not the game name.
No.
Okay. I was like,
Quantic Theory.
Yeah, Quantum Break.
Quantum Break. There
Quantum
you go.
Break. There we go.
There you go.
We got there,
I know where
folks.
you're going at now.
When you said Remedy, I was like, that's not the name of that game at all. The last little bit of news that John had, I want to present in a little bit of a different manner. Mark, if I told you that I was going to give you something that you already have, but you lose wireless functionality from it.
What?
But you get a D-pad. Is that an upgrade?
Dude, you just gave him half a thing and said, here's this thing. You don't even know what it's for. By the way, do you want a D-pad?
It's almost like half a Joy-Con.
You know what? Would you like a tattoo of a D-pad on your butt so she has something to play with when she's back there?
What?
Wait, when she's back there? What?
Everybody's different. I'm not judging. No, so this Joy-Con is very interesting to me because as a platformer enthusiast that I am, like Rayman Legends, Origin, I love the whole Rayman spiel. Not that has anything to do with Nintendo, but I've always enjoyed the D-pad, even playing games like Zelda. It was something that was missing with me, and why I never really felt comfortable. And this came out, and
Can we explain what it is? Because we haven't explained that yet.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, he threw me off.
You just didn't explain it. That's a
So
terrible
it's
job.
basically it's a Joy-Con made by Hori.
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 That's right. It's a company that makes peripherals for Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and they're all sanctioned, and so therefore it fits everything. It works right, and it's all really high quality stuff, which is great. It's a $25 price point. None of the gigs, gags, and googles that you want, but the thing that you really wanted out of that was the D-pad. And that is the only thing that was brought about. I mean, it's missing the Bluetooth, it's missing the rumble, and I know.
The wireless.
So
Well, the thing is, it's made
has
to
to be
be
docked.
played with at
Yeah.
home when you're playing a single-player game anyway.
It does still work docked in the controller, though, correct?
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
okay.
the whole point is that you use it in handheld mode, and that's it. So
No, I meant
you
in-
wouldn't put it in the mold
You
because
couldn't put it in the
that
mold?
requires that Bluetooth.
Oh, that's the devil.
Yeah. So the whole point is
Oh
that
my God,
you're
that
using
is
it
so
in
much
handheld mode
less
only.
useless than I thought it was.
What it's missing, that's the reason why.
It doesn't have the Z buttons either, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have
Yeah.
the shoulder buttons that are on the
Yeah.
side of the Joy-Con. So it's missing those. It's missing the rumble. Honestly, rumble's the only one that I'm upset about. Like,
Really?
I really wish that was in there because the rumble on the Switch is super nice. I think they've done rumble better than any controller I've played with in a very long time.
For the games that I would play with, it wouldn't be a big deal.
It's not a big deal, and it's not that I wouldn't play it, but it's noticeable.
Yeah.
And so taking that away would be a big detriment. But like you said, it's licensed with Nintendo. They have Nintendo licensed themed controllers
Yeah,
to it,
really
which
cool designs.
means that Nintendo's the one who's going, hey, this is what you can do. And the alternative right now is modding your Joy-Con, which people have broken Joy-Cons by modding them. So this is a $25, hey, I want to play it.
It's very interesting to me. I understand the need for the D-pad. My thing is, I don't understand because your purpose of this is to use it in place of the stick.
Yeah.
Why don't you just make a controller without a stick?
No, it has a stick
Just
and
switch-
there's the
I know,
D-pad
that's
on
what I'm
it.
saying.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, like, for me, if I wanted this for like a fighting game or if I wanted this for like a platform, whatever, I don't need the stick and that. I would just much rather just switch the stick out for that and then give me my functions back.
I'd rather
You're
have
talking
the
about like a-
D-pad and the stick because there are games that use both.
Yeah.
What games uses both?
Well, usually
None.
when you're like
it doesn't
scrolling.
have one. It doesn't have a D-pad.
No, no,
Well, the
the
D-pad
Octopath Traveler does.
It uses the D-pad.
Yeah.
It's-
The
so
D
does Zelda.
buttons, whatever the hell you want to call them.
All the stupid little
Yeah,
buttons at the
yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
This has
This is replacing those four
Those
buttons
four
with a
buttons.
D-pad,
Interesting.
which is what you would expect out of a modern
I
controller.
mean, we grew up with Nintendo for all generations with a D-pad. This is the only one they didn't give it to us with, and I'm like, I don't know. This is the only flaw that I ever found with the Nintendo Switch when it came to physicality.
I got a few, but
I bet you do. Doesn't have a mouse and a keyboard and comes with a really large personality that says, I am the All-Father.
yes. And it also doesn't have that third stick out the bottom for my third hand with the joystick on it.
yeah, of course.
That's my favorite meme of all time. Is
Yeah.
the picture where it's got the aliens and they're like figuring out the human race and like, how do you know he has 3 arms, Chuck? Well, look at this controller. It shows the 64.
What the crap?
So moving on into other news. Last week we saw the wonderful Sean Murray re-release, in a sense, bring back life to No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky Next came out last week. It's a pretty huge update. I think it wound up being like 15 gigs or something like that. At least on the PC version. I don't know what it is on console.
A lot of work to be done.
Multiplayer, full release on Xbox. And honestly, I've seen almost nothing but positivity from it.
One negative thing.
What is the one? Oh, the save file.
Save files. So if you already have started the game on any of the platforms, Xbox not included because it's getting it with the
Release,
update in it. You have to be cautious because people are having their save files eaten in the sense that they are loading it up and it keeps all of the stuff. It's all the planets they've been to, but it puts them on the first planet. You're starting back.
Yeah.
So it's a weird bug. They're working on hot fixes on PC. I think came out today, and PS4 is coming out tonight. If I remember correctly, I don't know.
But minus that issue, like the public perception has been phenomenal. It's been really, really positive. I keep seeing the No Man's Sky Twitter account, which it's weird that Sean Murray runs their Twitter account as himself.
I mean, they're like 10 people maybe.
Right. It's just very odd that it's like he very publicly, like that's his Twitter account.
Yeah.
It just has at No Man's Sky. And it's like, it's just so odd to me. I mean, it's his opinion stuff. That's cool or whatever, but it's just an odd thing. But I just keep seeing them tweet me like that is like that awkward moment when your fans take better photos of your game than you can. And it's these like crazy, gorgeous skies and planets and
There's
stuff.
some wonderful things on
and
there.
just people are doing the craziest stuff. Like there's a GIF out there of a dude building like, I want to say it's like a 250-story building.
What?
There's unlimited building. So now there's apparently a crew of people on Reddit who are trying to make 2 planets connect with buildings.
What? That's fantastic.
Because they like the planets obviously move and have day-night cycles, so they want to see if it'll like break the game if they like put 2 planets, it's like hook 2 planets together with,
and see if it like.
yeah.
That's I'm curious now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what this game was supposed to be from the get-go. That's what everybody was promised, and I'm glad they made up on their promise. I'm super happy about it.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. There's a gentleman on Twitter, or woman, I don't know, Soonhee Legend, at Soonhee Legend, who does these wonderful GIF compilations where he just makes the stuff, and he's doing some great ones with No Man's Sky next. I am absolutely adoring it.
When he puts out a new one, Brent's like, retweet.
Yep.
Retweet.
Everyone needs to see this.
The only thing to me that, and granted, this is exactly how the regular game was, so it's no different. But I loaded up on PC and I just started a new save file on PC because I didn't care. And I didn't have the game installed anymore. And it put me on a planet that's basically impossible to live on. So I was like, well, we're going to try this again. But it's more of like spending 20 minutes trying to escape a planet while you slowly suffocate to death.
Well, what'd you start on? What difficulty?
The second one, I guess survival.
Okay,
it's like normal survival, hard, and
that's
hardcore.
Why.
It's just more of I started off and it was like oxygen levels critical. I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
No, it seems like everybody's turning around on the game, which is super awesome. I'm glad. We've talked before, but I am more curious about this game than I have been since it launched.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
I'm kind of interested to try it out.
200%.
Once they fix the save issues, because the fiance has already started a file, so I'm gonna hop in with her.
I can't wait to see more of this when you guys play it, because
I wish we could play together.
If you're not going to, let me borrow it.
I do wish the PC and PlayStation could join their universes, but they are actually different server instances, unfortunately.
It's really weird to watch how things have shifted, because at the beginning of the console cycle, it was PC, PS4, everything. Like they would play together. They would, aside from a few shooters, essentially, like it was across the board. If you were playing on PC, you could play with PS4 people, and it seems like that's not the case anymore.
Well, it seems like it's not the case unless it's like it flipped completely. Like beforehand, it was like, oh, there's all these games you would never expect to have compatibility, and then now it's like, yeah, Rocket League and Fortnite. All right, that's weird. The next bit of news that we had is somewhat of like, I don't know, I guess leaky news. The DJI company who makes crazy drones, their new Mavic drone has been somewhat leaked. They're just showing more and more specs of it. They've increased the flight time. It's up to like 31 minutes now. They have up to an 8-kilometer range now, and there's going to be 2 versions of it. It's going to be pretty cool. I like drones. I like to creep on neighbors and stuff like that.
I bet you do.
It's just very interesting because we were talking about drones last week, so it's a good little follow-up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
John scares me.
I just see you putting that in front of his window.
No, I was going to make a
in the
joke.
middle of the night.
Oh, that's what that noise was.
No, I just can't wait till they make a drone where you could actually creep on me at my house. It's like 15 minutes away.
Are you 8 kilometers away?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Not this one. I didn't think about that.
But he can't
How
fly
does
him here
math
anyway.
work?
Not that one. Well, if I fly it outside of the
straight
zone.
shot.
You just got to go trekking like back towards the creek there a little bit.
No, it'd be out of range.
No, I think that's cool though. I love to see drone tech expanding like it is, especially whenever it's for commercial purposes to be sold to individual users or consumers. I've been wanting to get a drone since a buddy of mine had a 3DR with his GoPro mounted to it, and he bought the gimbal mount.
Yeah.
Granted, the entire configuration cost him $1,300, but that's beside the point.
That's probably what this will cost.
That's
unfortunately.
That's probably also why 3DR went out of business. But
these weren't great though. That's the issue.
Yeah, well,
but this has the
it's
potential to be.
But that's the idea. I love to see that the fact that I guess this has been going on well enough and strong enough that the next generation of these are starting to come out. You know, I mean, 30 minutes of flight time is fantastic. Better yet, having like what was it, range shooting versus I guess like a normal range camera. Actually, it would be really solid.
It'd be really cool. You could use this drone since it's got 8-kilometer range. Maybe a little drug drop into the jail, you know. Not even.
I was thinking about picking up my cookout, but I guess yours works.
I'm trying to figure out how to make money with it.
No. There you go. Drop off the cocaine, you know, in the middle of prison. Attach the money to it. Take off. Fly to cookout.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a lot of money to spend on cookout. I just really want a drone that's in the shape of a bald eagle that as you hit a button, it just goes scrawl, and behind the scrawl is freedom.
Puts out confetti.
Have you seen the drones where they make them look like superheroes and stuff? So it looks like Superman's flying through the air.
That's pretty good. I like that.
That's amazing. I just want a Millennium Falcon one. If they have a Phantom that's
amazing.
like can do the Phantom.
Millennium Falcon drone.
Yeah, they don't have cameras, unfortunately. I need the photography aspect.
Do you want the old Millennium Falcon or the new Millennium Falcon that's technically the old Millennium Falcon?
You mean the new one from the old movie that's technically newer than the old movie?
Correct. There you go.
Yes. I want that one.
Okay. You didn't answer the question. You just said yes.
If you say yes enough, you'll inevitably answer all questions.
I almost got lost on that, I'll be honest.
It was getting close.
The next bit of news that we had today is Overwatch League Season 1 came to a close last weekend in New York. Pictures from the event, really impressive. Yeah. Probably the most... They did something that I've been saying that esports needs to do for a very long time. They didn't go to Madison Square Garden. They didn't go to the biggest arena. They went to a smaller arena, and they sold it out and filled it out. So it's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't go to the biggest arenas. Maybe you don't sell as many tickets, but it looks way better on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention, one day if it keeps getting to that popular,
you can go to the big one.
You can go to the big one.
Yeah, because we went to an event in Madison Square Garden last year or 2 years ago for a League of Legends event, which is a much bigger game. Yeah. Granted, it was a stadium that I think Madison Square Garden is like a little over 20K, and this one is like 12 or 13. So like, cool. You probably sold an extra 2,000 seats. The top bowl was empty. Yep. So it looked terrible on camera. Yep. And you probably had more people there, but it was really cool. The team that is owned by Cloud9, the London Spitfire, they got swept in their first series, 0-3, and then went 18-3-1 to win the event. Yeah.
Damn.
Big comeback. It's very impressive. They changed I think the guy's name is Closer. They subbed him out for this young kid, and the kid showed up, did well, obviously.
I'm glad he showed up. It's important.
He did. He showed up that day, came to work like a good worker.
Is there a the in front of his name? The Closer?
No, I actually tried to pronounce his name, and I had nothing for it. It's very confusing. He had the two first names. It's very odd.
I was going to say, if his real name is Closer, that is awesome. I'm the Closer.
It's gamer tags. What? Although it would be really funny if people in video games, I read a sports article on this one time about how they were saying that the best professional gamers should quit using gamer tags because it's like, overpowered versus Kepri versus Doug. It's like, Doug wins the tournament. It's like, it'd be so much better than all the crazy names we have.
Do we get to talk about DJ Khaled?
We can.
And his terrible performance?
We can.
And his god-awful performance?
The best part about this whole thing is just people just talking about his acting career.
Oh my God.
Because it's so bad.
It was very obvious that he had no idea what Overwatch was.
Right. It's basically like they just paid the guy, and he was like, you might as well have been like, can you explain to us like how the enzymes and cancers work? And he just been like, oh, well, yeah, this is a great thing. It's a great thing.
At one point in time, he said, Overwatch me, and then tried to do a two-step. It was so bad.
Overwatch me?
Yeah. It's pretty quality.
Was it as awkward as, what was it? I kept seeing a Vine video of it or whatever where the guitar solo comes up. And all of a sudden, he's just doing this back and forth step thing.
There you go. That's what it was.
Yeah. Was it seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was bad.
Like I thought that was awkward in itself.
It was
the whole
so
thing.
Bad.
Overwatch me. What?
The good news is he did release a music video, so at least he got some positive PR last weekend. So
it sounds like someone would say something like that during sex. Overwatch me.
That sounds like what you tell the neighbor who's watching you.
Take your drone and overwatch
That's what
me.
I tell you when the drone comes flying up next to the window.
I'm now, every time I see my neighbor, I'm just going, hey, overwatch me. And just walk right in the door.
I'm pretty certain your neighbor's going to move. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, do you talk to your neighbor?
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
They're nice.
Yeah.
That's not good. The next bit of news that we had is Intel is actually delaying their processors, which is quite ironic because I was shopping for processors today.
Not just delay them again.
Yeah.
This is round 2. Last time they delayed them last year and said, yeah, we're pushing them back from late 2017 to like early 2018 or mid 2018 because, or late 2018, whatever it was. But they said, we're delaying them because we're having problems with the manufacturing process with 10 nanometer transistors. Well, now they're pushing them back again because of yield issues, which is really fun. I'm guessing it's just the cost of materials.
Yeah.
That's what I'm translating that as, because that's what the quote was.
Yeah.
But
there's a huge disruption in the market right now.
So they said, yeah, we're pushing them back to like 2019, mid 2019 is what they gave. Pushing it back almost a full year, basically.
Pretty much.
So they said, well, we'll definitely have them in time, ready for the holidays. And I remember reading it was like 2019's holidays.
Yeah, got it.
But I'm almost certain AMD's actually still on track to come up with their stuff by, was it the end of this year or next year?
And that's the one they plan on using in consoles, right?
Well, I mean,
they've always
used AMD.
But
Unfortunately,
that was where my basis of the PS5 coming out, like early 2019, probably getting announced this year was, coming from.
That's weird. That's so weird.
All I know
weird
is
how
that
those pieces coming together.
all I know is that we're almost in August. Why would they announce a console?
And they're not going to be able to do that now.
Yep. Well, so the
For
funny
next year?
No, you would not announce a console now for next year. You announce it next year.
Exactly. You would announce it next year,
Yeah.
Q1, Q2.
Yeah, he's talking about announcing this year.
Oh, yeah.
No.
He's just meaning that the AMD processor comes out next year.
No, he said announce this year. I'm poking holes in the story. So I don't know if this is related whatsoever, but I do remember at one point in time reading an article about how we're finally reaching the point where Moore's law no longer applies.
Yeah.
No, Moore's law does apply.
Yeah.
Moore's law is basically the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, that's just what I meant. Sorry,
Right,
my
right.
bad.
We're approaching that point. Not to mention, we're also approaching the theoretical transistor size limit.
Yeah.
Just because we're at 10 nanometers, if I remember correctly, 4 nanometers or 7 nanometers anyway is the limit that you can go to with silicone before electrons actually begin to skip the transistor altogether and completely bypass any switching that happens there.
Okay.
So, like, once we kind of reach that point, there's really nowhere else to go other than to go to other materials that are going to be more efficient.
Physics.
Steam powered.
Physics can change. We have to control physics.
This is immediately getting derailed.
It is. And it's one on the steam power notion. So it's that I was watching an interview with Elon Musk from like last week or 2 weeks ago, and he's convinced. Elon Musk, I adore you as a human, but he's very convinced that batteries are going to take over everything except for jet fuel, basically. Like planes, cars, everything.
Yeah.
Anything's going to be somewhat soon. He's like, and they were basically going to look at the gasoline era like the steam era, and I was like, it's a little different. We kind of use steam. We really use coal and gas.
We almost had steam-powered computers. This is not a joke. It sounds
That's
like a
true.
bit, but we almost had steam-powered
know.
computers.
Which is ironic because Steam is the next piece of news.
There you go.
There's a game that was on Steam because Segways are fun. I don't know what. Oh yeah.
I'm throwing it up for you to spend. There we
go. Steam had a game on its platform that was essentially a cryptocurrency miner, unbeknownst.
Yeah. So apparently, Steam reduced their, restrictions anyway, or reduced, how they limited the games that were getting put on the Steam store because they wanted to open it up to developers to be able to put whatever they wanted on the store if they wanted to try to sell it, but part of that also means that they didn't do deep dives into how the game runs. I'm just going to keep talking. But they didn't, or they used to actually check the games to see if there was any kind of flaws with them, any kind of behind the scenes things going on.
You're supposed to keep talking.
I can't. It's too distracting. But so there was a streamer anyway, Sid Alpha. You probably know better than I would.
I believe that is correct.
I believe it's Sid Omega.
That is not correct.
Okay. Both of you. Anyway, so what he was running a game anyway. It's called Abstractism, And essentially the whole point of the game was to just move this little cube thing. Like you'd move around like you would in Super Meat Boy or in whatever it was.
I am the Bashi.
I don't know.
Just nod your head. It's just simple.
But it was pretty simple, not very graphic intensive, not very CPU intensive, very light on the footprint. However, all of a sudden it was reporting several gigs worth of hard drive usage. Your CPU would peg out to like 95%, and your GPU would start heating up and the fans would go nuts.
How do you know he's not a bad programmer?
I think he was a very intelligent programmer.
Because the other side of it too was that, if you installed the game, your virus scanner would be like, hey, there's a Trojan here. Also, your network usage would spike up to several hundred, megabits per second on a non-online game, on a non-multiplayer game.
He messed up on his tags.
I was about to say he 100% should have just tried to use less.
So here's the
He
thing.
should have just turned it to agar.io.
That dude's a freaking
So
genius.
let me preface this with this. This has already been taken off of the Steam store because it was being sold for like $1. And actually a couple hundred people bought it just because it was cheap. Better yet, they were running a 51% deal on it, or 51% off deal on it. So it was like 49 cents to buy the game.
Power play.
But it was kind of a multi-tier thing. So in Abstractism, like there's in-game like item purchases that you can make on it. So you could purchase the items, but they actually were like masquerading similar to TF2 items, making you think that if you bought the item from the game, you were purchasing a TF2 item, but it wasn't. They only did that once, and then the guy, I guess, realized, hey, by the way, Valve's probably going to sue me over this, so he actually took it off. But the links, anyway, that that one of the guys, I guess, had already bought for $100 was wrong. Like, it was already the wrong item.
Oh, Lord.
Better yet, he has his own in-game items of these, like, ridiculous things that you could purchase, which actually have, like, a monetary value on the Steam store. So you can actually purchase them, buy and sell and trade them for $4, $5, $6 a piece, that kind of thing. And there are actually people buying, selling, and trading these.
It's collectible now.
Apparently. So he's already on a money train going on there. Better yet, he actually put, and this is the convincing part on the Bitcoin mining or the Monero mining front, where he actually says if you leave the game running for long periods of time, you'll actually get item drops. And they reset on Fridays. You can get up to 14 item drops or 7 item drops or something like that in the span of a week. If you continue to keep the game running in the background.
All I know is that this is Steam's fault.
Oh my god!
And I don't mean this negatively.
Like they should have checked this out.
But yeah, they've opened up their marketplace to be open. And when you don't actually do any type of scrutiny on what you're releasing there, you get things like this.
Yep.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because it means consumers get preyed on, but this is part of your job as the storefront. You can have open borders if you want, but you're now in charge of whatever happens.
I was actually reading something the other day on how people were saying opening the storefront's been super great because apparently they now do it. Maybe they did before, but at least now they really don't care about XXX games.
Yeah.
And so I was joking with my roommates yesterday or 2 days ago. And I was talking about like one of the biggest selling games on VR for a while was like this VR like porn game basically. And they're like, no way, that's on Steam, whatever. And I was like, no, check this out. So like the Steam trailer is like kind of like lewd. And then you go and watch people play it on YouTube and they're like, all right, it didn't show anything. And I was like, hold on a second, just go to Google and type in like the name of the game and then like NSFW and it is... it's a lot for a game.
Saucy. Neat. Dylan, I've also decided I just want you to follow me around in life and just say random things. So like when I get my free cup of coffee at the gas station, you're like, power play.
Just whisper them in your ear.
Just in my
I'm
ear.
confident that the guy at the quick check is going to be like, what the is wrong with these people?
I want to see that very much, actually.
So the next bit of news that Mark also wants to see is that OpenAI is testing robot dexterity, which I hate testing any type of robotics. We're going to die. They're going to kill us.
Nah.
We're training the monster.
Nah. So OpenAI is an open development platform for artificial intelligence, and they were using a robotic hand that they had taught, essentially, to have dexterity in the sense of being able to control 5 fingers with like an opposable thumb.
Like
he's leaning in like he's going to say
Terminator?
something. Kind of, maybe. I what? Just
that hand in Terminator.
I can just see the sparks.
That's a legitimate thing. That's real.
I feel like I'm gonna lose you here in a little bit.
I mean, it's not real.
Terminator movie is real.
Movie.
He's talking about the arm that they used to make. Never mind.
Maybe like it's
Shut
real.
up, Skynet.
It's like it's not real.
Anyway,
Sorry, Mark.
There's a couple of gifs of this robotic hand. It's not connected to the Terminator. It's probably chopped off.
So
but it's
is the hand standing up?
No, it's outright like this.
So it's just is it like just extending from a robot?
It's literally chopped off like before the elbow.
It's literally just a hand.
Yeah.
So it's like sitting on a desk
with a wrist, yes.
Okay.
But the idea is, and actually it's floating. And the idea is that it's holding a cube upright like this.
How is it floating?
It's mounted to a system.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where is it mounted?
He wants to know what is controlling it. Is it sitting like this on a table, just flopping around?
No. Okay, no, I'm sorry. It's mounted to a system from here, basically.
Okay, there we go.
So there's a vice grip on the floor.
So it's completely still, and the only thing it has is a wrist and the fingers. So the idea is it's holding a cube, and it can do certain things like the way that you would do them, like to hold a cube, to spin it around and do certain things with it, like to slide it across your palm, like back and forth, like to shift the weight, and can use your fingers to kind of help guide it, that kind of thing. But it actually uses like its pinky and its thumb to pick it up, and then uses its fingers to spin it. I hate how you guys derail the living crap out of all of this.
I'm sorry. No, it is
talking
super
about
fascinating,
spinning and moving,
but you're
like
doing
this.
and John is dying. Like I can actually feel the life being sucked out of him.
What's
He
worse?
is trying so hard to not say that. He's trying to let you finish the thought, and he can't do it.
See, what's worse is the whole time I've been sitting over here wanting to turn this into a female pleasure device, and you're over here cupping the balls with the robot.
Oh my god!
And the whole time, John, I could just see crying.
All I could think is that somebody is using this to make the ninjutsu signs of Naruto.
What does this mean?
No, see, what it means to me is the terrifying. Sorry to interrupt you real quick. The terrifying part is that you were talking about moving the cube. I was just waiting to see it like just spin it and have it like spinning on its finger like a monster, and just be like, oh, it has passed us.
He learns quickly.
Well, no, actually, apparently it put it. They had put it through about 100 years worth of simulations for it to figure it out. Like the AI is nowhere near like what human beings can figure things out with. Because
Give it 36 more hours.
If it
but
compounds.
like they ran it through like simulations anyway to get it to where it was. Like it actually took them a couple months. And what was it? They said they had to use a combination of like 1,500 Intel-based Xeon processors, as well as I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 NVIDIA graphics cards anyway to run these simulations, to run these 100 years worth of simulations, you know, with physics and everything involved of how to hold the cube. But, you know, like right off the bat, you know, the thing has no idea how it works. It has to understand the parameters of its environment, but then it sort of just holds this cube and then determines how to move around with it and play with it. But they said it took the equivalent of 100 years worth of time for it to finally learn how to hold the cube and manipulate it. So then they put that same simulation into a real world example with a robotic arm and a real cube to see how it would do. And actually, they said it dropped it a few times, but
Overall, held it. Wow.
Overall, it held it and was actually able to manipulate it in its hand.
Next Thursday, it's going to be able to solve Rubik's Cubes and
Yeah, it's gonna be sitting
With one hand, that'd be awesome.
exactly.
Well, so the concept here and the forward-thinking intent here is that the dexterity, because the whole point is the dexterity of being able to control something with fingers like that, is that eventually you can get AI programmed into manufacturing plants and things like that to help either, well, replace, you know, a lot of human workers, as bad as that is.
So jeans.
However,
It seems like it's a far way away.
well, first off, yeah, I mean, the training time alone on that kind of thing, you know, is ridiculous. There's got to be a lot of improvement to the AI, but nonetheless, the AI can teach itself, you know, like how to do some of this stuff.
That's what's going to take over the world.
When I think of these things, I think of how cyclical theory goes in and how like we've just created and destroyed ourselves. And all I imagine is that we are actually living in a simulation and we are creating a robot that's going to destroy us and create a simulation and then start it all over again.
There's actually an interesting theory.
Okay,
on that.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Here for you.
But no, this is really cool because I think from a manufacturing standpoint, like this is actually going to be able to do, first off, a lot of things that you would need to do with human hands that you couldn't normally do because either it's too dangerous or something that needs to be done with some sort of manufacturing robotics.
What are you doing?
Don't worry about me. That is really interesting. I am very excited to see where this goes. I'm a big
It's gonna
fan
kill us.
of robotics. I'm
I'm a big fan
interested
of
to see these kind
you
of
guys are
things
psycho.
coming outside of things that are not as well known, like Boston Robotic or what, Boston
Open
Dynamics.
Dynamics.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
So-
like OpenAI, I think is a great project anyway, just
Yeah.
because it allows literally anybody to get involved in this kind of thing if they
And
want to
your
run
boy's on the
simulations.
board. Is he on the board or is he on it or run it?
Who?
Elon.
I don't know.
He's either on the board or he runs it.
I would say
Get to
he's.
your
I would
news
say he's
topics,
on the board
please.
because maybe it's based on OpenAI. But
wasn't there a guy that made a robotics arm and he like turned it on and started doing this?
No, that was a commercial.
you mean the thing like where it tries to feed the bottle to the baby or something like that, and it like they have a test baby that's up there, so it reaches over, it grabs the bottle, and it comes over and just smacks the baby or whatever and then back into the crib.
No, there's a
There's a bunch of bad
commercial.
ones.
There's a
I mean, there
commercial
really
where
are.
with the guy who like has the prosthetic. He's like,
Yeah.
now we're gonna try the robotic prosthetic. He turns it on and goes,
And he's like,
Well,
You know
no,
what that
or is
really-
he didn't he come back or something like that? It's got like a memory
Yeah,
based on how you use it. And as it comes in, it's like it just won't stop doing this. I don't know.
Do you know what that really is? It's the important for every single
Important
week we talk to you. Every week we tell you about cool
Don't say-
news
don't do that.
and information and whatnot, and then it gets derailed and ruined.
this week was really bad.
Ruined.
It was
Brian
we
ruined.
didn't have a good start.
For a second, I thought you were calling me Brian,
ruined.
but it was all still interesting nonetheless.
Absolutely.
I'm going to hijack the mic, wiki what, and take. Oh, thank you for that chicken impression.
Wiki.
I'm going to go with my topic first. And I was sitting over the weekend as I was watching Guacamelee 2 get announced and all these other things and wishing it was coming to the Vita, praying and hoping. And all I could think about are what are these like pieces of art or things that we want created specifically for us. This is a very selfish ask. It's something that probably will never, ever be created, but something you want made.
What
You
do
can go first.
I don't know what you mean by the
I want to
context
see
of that.
999 made into a movie.
999 made into a movie would be very difficult.
It would be amazing.
Television show, HBO quality.
I mean, even if you go Danganronpa quality, I'd probably be happy with that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to go even live action, it'd be interesting. But dude, costumes are going to be ridiculous.
Costumes would be awesome.
I mean, you got
999
one chick who alone would be a rated R. You'd have to change her clothes.
999 is a Japanese video game series.
Is that the one with the little thing, and then every time they power up, they get smaller?
Nope.
What? Nope.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was really weird.
I think it's an anime where it's like every time they get like stronger, their clothes, the chick's clothes get smaller, and it's like some chick in like a black and white.
Oh, you're thinking Kill a Kill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I was
yeah,
didn't know where that was
there
going.
either, and I was like, "This is getting risque," and I realized it really is.
No, it's not Kill a Kill. It's a graphic novel / puzzle solving game.
Okay.
It's
that-
actually available on iOS if you want the graphic novel.
The graphic novels on iOS. The games are all on Steam, PS4, and Vita.
So they're like nudie games, I think.
They're not nudie
said
games.
graphic.
It's
They're
a puzzle game, actually.
They're very much dealing with heavy concepts like AI and do we live in a simulation and do we give ourselves
violence.
meaning when we have multiple dimensions and multiple realities and
And it actually gives a really that series gives a really good dimension into traveling in general. I don't want to spoil too much for those who haven't played it. Which
Do
if
you
you
mean
haven't, you really should.
like airplane, car?
No,
Or you mean like
interstellar travel,
interstellar,
dimensional
okay.
travel, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And it's actually we'll talk about it after the fact if you aren't going to play it. But it's really cool.
they're super fascinating. You should totally check them out. But the reason why I say TV over movie is because they're incredibly long, full of twists. Like the ending of those games primarily is like an hour worth of I didn't realize that was happening. I didn't realize that was happening, and that is pulled off better in a TV series of 10 episodes, I believe, where it's got to build up like Westworld.
10
Movie's got
episodes, 10
part 1,
seasons.
part 2, part
I mean,
3,
that's
yeah.
fine too. I think that works, but
It would be absolutely hard to do, even in a trilogy.
Yeah.
I think even one of those games would be very difficult to do.
agreed, because they're very long-winded.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dialogue, but there's a lot of concept that you have to really lay the base work down.
Yeah.
That's super important, and that's where I think TV show would actually would be a great binge TV show.
Well, I really appreciate those games because they deal with real world concepts like Schrodinger's cat and how we use that for like dealing with quantum physics. And then the creator also comes up with his own ideas, like something called Ice 9, which is water that turns into ice above a certain level.
Actually above freezing. So technically, in regular atmospheric temperature, 70 degrees, 1 atmosphere, it would actually freeze, which, if you think about it, would be catastrophic to our environment.
Yeah. And so
And it replicates itself. Like it doesn't stop spreading, so it's not localized on Earth. So it just
but he brings up both concepts fluidly, so you're not really sure if you don't know what the topic is. Like if you didn't know Schrodinger's cat, you would probably think that he made it up similar to Ice 9. So it's very well written.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a rabbit hole that John goes down into a little too deep.
Oh man, it's a wonderful rabbit hole to go.
I do like some rabbit holes.
Two corrections
That is
just from the naming, because I know we're
weird
going to probably get this later.
Okay.
Schrodinger's box.
Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat too.
I've always heard
Is
Schrodinger's
in a box.
It's the cat is in the box.
No, I know that, but I've always heard it called Schrodinger's box, and it's not quantum physics, it's quantum theory.
No, there's quantum physics too.
Is a whole thing.
What the?
There's quantum theory about physics, like the quantum physics.
No, I understand, but the whole point of quantum theory of it, like the cat is dead and alive simultaneously, is the idea of quantum theory.
It's also dealing with the physics of whether or not something can be in two physical states or
Right.
not.
Quantum physics
At
is like
once.
the particle accelerator and all that stuff. That's quantum physics.
Right.
Quarks.
That's what he's talking about, like the concept of like matter and movement and.
Right.
It's dealing with both realistically, so it doesn't matter. But yeah,
Okay.
I've never heard of Schrodinger's box. I've always heard of Schrodinger's cat.
No, I've heard Schrodinger's box in the sense that like anything inside the box can be in both states or
Yeah.
any number of states simultaneously.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just never heard that description.
Including a cat.
Including a cat.
All right. Anybody else?
I
What you got?
have mine, and you and I have discussed this, and it's never going to happen. I don't care. An Infamous game on Vita. I don't care if it was a port of the original two.
Vita is dead.
I don't care
And once you
if
see Guacamelee 2 on that bad boy, you can say that.
I really wanted a brand new Infamous game that had a smaller open world, but one that was just as propagated, like filled with things to do. New power, new person. It had nothing to do with Cole McGrath's story, but to showcase that conduits weren't localized around him. And this was before the PS4 game came out. I had all these concepts of different powers you could use and different structures, even putting it over in Europe because we traveled across Europe for a summer. So I just always thought that was a wonderful game to have on a handheld. And now that Switch is coming out, I just want something that is that open world concept on a handheld. Because I love open world games. I adore playing them. But every now and then having something that I can pick up and play casually that way would be wonderful, especially when you talk about like side quests and all these other things you have to do, and something that's less Bethesda. Like I love Bethesda and what they do, but Skyrim's not what I'm looking for.
For the 434th time.
What's that?
For the 434th
Correct.
time.
I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for Fallout. I'm looking for something where I'm climbing buildings and destroying stuff and using guns or whatever the case may be.
See, when I hear Infamous and Vita, what is Cole McGrath's friend that's always on the phone?
Zeke.
Zeke. I would imagine the Vita game, you would just be Zeke and just be like hitting up Cole all the time.
I'm totally okay with this. I love this idea.
Yeah, just.
I really think that it could have. If Uncharted, if you could do it with Uncharted the way they did, I know they could have with Infamous.
Yeah.
My whole
Even
thing is like,
just make it smaller.
if your choices are, if you're Sony, your thought process was Uncharted, Resistance, now we're out.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
your play?
Yeah, I know.
What?
Well, what's the other one? There was one more. It was Killzone.
Good point.
'Cause they
But
made
still,
Killzone
I mean,
Mercenaries.
they literally put up that multiplayer and it was like done. No.
Yeah,
Didn't work out.
it really is unfortunate because Killzone Mercenaries is fun. That's a
Yeah.
good game on Vita.
I didn't even get that far because the Resistance multiplayer, I was like, no.
even.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
I wish Resistance was handled by a better developer.
I wish Resistance would have just not came out and then made a different game completely.
I agree with both of those statements.
And
It's,
someone else developed it, yes.
it's really unfortunate because that developer took 2 contracts for the Vita and had 6 months to make both games. And both games are terrible.
Well, I mean, you have 6 months to make a game for a console that was just released. I mean, it's not going to be great to begin with.
No.
I mean, Little Deviants wasn't that
dumb.
bad. I feel like they got 6 months.
Get out of here, your blasphemous statements.
It wasn't as bad as Resistance.
I mean, yeah, Resistance.
Not
I
as
would
bad as
play
worse.
Little Deviants. At least they used a little touchpad on the back in a cool
Yeah,
way.
but Uncharted Golden
Those
Abyss.
So did
monsters
Tearaway.
run around. Tearaway was cool.
I love Tearaway. God.
There's
Gravity
so many
Rush?
good Vita games.
Gravity
I
Rush
love
is really
Gravity
good.
Rush.
See, that's the other thing is I played Gravity Rush. I was like, you could totally do Infamous like this.
Yeah.
This is a Gravity Rush. Do Infamous.
It's there.
Yeah.
You easily could have. I don't know. Sad. Anybody
Mark,
else?
what type of music games?
Yeah, it could be
Oh,
anything. A
oh,
book, a movie.
You guys kept
TV
going on
show.
with Vita stuff or whatever. I was just kind of staring at the camera like I'm lost.
I understand.
Jeopardy music. Mark, I'll have you know, Mark reviewed the Vita before the public release of the
Why do you
Vita.
have to talk about this? Let's
He
not.
did.
Can we not?
There's a video that
gotta
we can
find
find
that.
somewhere. You don't want to watch
It's
it.
on one of your hard drive. No, you don't.
You don't want
Why?
to watch it. It's pretty bad. It's like one of the first YouTube videos I ever made.
It's
What'd you give the
it's-
Vita?
It's literally my first time on camera. So.
What'd you give the Vita?
I don't know if we scored it. I don't think we scored it.
We didn't do a scoring system. No, we just kind of did like a straight up like talking about it review
Yeah.
anyway. I didn't think it was bad, but I mean, I don't really do
Mark your
one, I
words.
don't do
Let's make some popcorn and watch it.
PlayStation.
What's funny?
First off. Second, like I didn't really do handhelds up to that point. Once I dropped the Game Boy Color, that was kind of, or Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance, that was kind of it. Like, yeah.
What's
Then
worse?
you probably shouldn't have reviewed it.
No. So what's worse is it was like the weirdest thing ever because we were in college at the time, and I was like, just got through playing Call of Duty, so I was like super in the game. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna do this YouTube and this Twitch thing, right? And so I was hitting up companies trying to get free games and crap like that, right? And Sony, for some odd reason, would reply to me and stuff. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I was like, yeah, I go to this university and I do this stuff. And they're like, oh, so you're affiliated with the university? And I was like, yes. And they're like, cool. Well, if your university like wants to review it, we'll send you one. I was like, cool. Yeah, and so they sent it to us like it was like a month early, but we couldn't get on PSN, and we only had Little Deviants. I was like, wow, this is.
You could play around with the OS, and that was about it.
No, you also had the AR card game too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But and then
funny.
we reviewed it like 2 or 3 weeks before it came out. That's
Yeah.
funny. Is an interesting video.
It's a video to watch. That's what it is.
It's a lot of awkwardness.
Well, Mark, what is it you want made into the world? Your selfish desire.
Whatever it may be.
If you need time to think, I can go ahead.
I'm really thinking about this 999 like as an HBO live action. Like,
It's definitely possible. But
I just
think
keep seeing more
realistic.
things now that you're wearing this stinking otter thing shirt. I just keep seeing more and more games being replaced with otters.
okay, name one.
Like, honestly, the first one that popped into my head was Halo, and all you see is like
I
whiskers
saw that
popping
coming.
out of this. Like,
I've not seen any of this.
Huh?
I've not seen any of this.
That's what he's once made.
Oh, you are
no,
imagining otters.
Yeah.
I was like,
as
I've
soon as
not
I saw your,
seen
because
any
I was
Master
hardcore
Chief
staring.
as an otter ever.
No, I was hardcore staring at your shirt for like
the
5
secret.
minutes, and I'm like,
He's an
otter
otter this
things. This is
entire
actually kind of interesting. I kind of want to see like otters like in other things, just because I feel like.
And you agreed with it so quickly. Remember, was like, "Hey, I've totally seen that before," and I was like, "You've seen Master Chief as an otter?"
I mean, imagine if you just took off the helmet, he's just otter chief.
No, he opens up the helmet, and the otter just like weasels out and just hops across.
Otter 314.
Oh god.
No, but honestly, ridiculous things like that I think are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like to me, like an entire like I don't know. I don't want to say a game remake, but like let's say like spoof videos or movies or something like that. Like where you replace certain characters of things, certain characters of games with ridiculous animals. I think that'd be more entertaining than anything.
This otter chief.
I now want.
Hanging on this wall.
I want a Halo mobile knockoff that is just otters.
Everybody who likes Halo right now is just blasphemy.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
ODST is some like otters something pun. They were controlling everybody the whole time. Mine is super simple because mine is already the easy answer, which it's already complete, is the Oasis. That just needs to be a game. It's such an easy answer, but it's what you need. It's what we want. I do think it would be cooler if instead of it
What
being
is the Oasis? Since no one else is asking.
Oh, it's
Ready Player
from
One.
Ready Player One.
Okay,
It's that
that's fine.
virtual space.
You haven't read the book?
I was lost too.
Nor watch the movie.
I've done neither.
You're one to talk, sir.
By the way.
You've read the book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you read the book.
He loves the book.
Otter Demolition Squad team.
Otters deserve serious treatment.
I just like I was just
That's a
thinking like
better one.
from a stealth perspective, the way they go in and out of things is that they float down the river on their backs.
See, perfect.
What is wrong with you people? The Oasis will be an easy answer. It's already like fully vetted. I don't have to do any type of creative.
It's fully
VR
vetted as if there's an
VR
official
experience?
poll.
What do you mean? Like he explains it in a 400-page book.
Yeah.
Are we
in
talking
pretty
about
good
it's a
detail.
VR experience?
Basically, the Oasis is you put on these goggles and these gloves,
Yeah.
and you're in a VR universe.
Well, what I'm saying is, do you want to see this in a movie, game, or like you
No,
want
I
this
want that
game
game
in real life?
I want that book / movie to be a game,
Okay.
just like it's supposed.
He
to
wants
be.
the Oasis.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the easy answer. What I would actually want though is something in a similar vein, but I would just love a VR MMO, basically Oasis, but
It's
form
like
of
PS Home for VR.
exactly, but in Star Wars. And
Oh,
I don't
okay.
Interesting.
care about Jedis. I think they're cool and I think they should be a part of it, but I just want that universe.
Yeah.
Like, let me go be a Mandalorian. Let me just be a normal person.
Like you
Whatever.
choose a species and you go like No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky. And then, like, you may make it just like Star Wars, where it's like I would say most of the people in the galaxy don't believe in the Force.
You know, people are
Like,
actually building the Death Star somewhere.
Probably.
On No Man's Sky. They have to be.
They have to be.
Yeah.
But so it may be like out of our group, Brent's like, yeah, I saw a lightsaber fight. And we're like, get out of here. Psycho. Some dude didn't pick up another dude. Get out of here. You're crazy. You were tripping.
In reality, I've just been drinking all night with
Yeah,
the VR
exactly.
Saw a lightsaber duel.
What would be the best ending to Star Wars ever is it's just like some cracked out dude just is like reading his book of his like family heritage. They've been living on like an acid farm their whole life.
Oh my god! And he's just sitting there quoting Kylo Ren. Forget the past, but kill it if you have to. Smoking.
No, the best part is it could just be like Yoda's family and they just look like those little green little monsters.
Oh my gosh.
We wasted 9 movies on this? That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing. There would be a
just be the
lot of fanboys. Messed
They would really want to hate their IP to do that. We're done with this. Burn it.
They won't thwart Jar Jar, so until then, I'd believe it. Until they come out and say Jar Jar's an idiot, don't get rid of this Darth Jar Jar crap.
Dude,
he's the Sith Lord.
The Sith Lord.
Yeah.
It's actually been talked about by a writer that he was planned for him
How
to
do
be
you
the
think
Sith
Palpatine got all of those powers? Dylan, we ended with you, so we
He
might as well
knows when
pick up your
things are
topic.
happening. You can see it in the movies.
Dylan, you have to be upset. It's okay, Dylan. What's your topic?
These people. So I was actually talking to my roommate about this at lunch today, and I don't know what that is at all.
I don't know.
It was a really, really poorly done attempt at trying to be Darth Vader, I guess.
It was being Darth Jar Jar.
I think it's Misa. But no, so media prices in general. So we saw Movie Pass. It's just gonna die really soon.
Oh man,
it's in a world of hurt. I don't know if you have heard the news. Basically, very very long summed up TLDR of Movie Pass. As Movie Pass has been around for like 7-8 years. It was a service where initially it was like $20 to $50 depending on how frequently you went to the movies. You got a little credit card. You swiped it. You could go to movies like one time a day or whatever. What?
Everyone's on the Darth Jar Jar train except for you.
Satanists is what they are. But for like $20 to $50, depending on how frequently you went to the movies, you basically got a little card. You go to the movies, have a good time, watch movies. $20 to $50 a month. Subscription service for movies, essentially. Well, that didn't obviously take off because it's $20 to $50. Over the years, they brought the price down. I think it was about a year ago now. They dropped the price to $10. Mm-hmm. You can watch one movie a day. You go as many times as you want a month. One movie is about $10. So if you go to the movies twice, you pretty much make money. Well, obviously that doesn't work. Well, I think it was last week, nobody's Movie Pass worked because essentially they basically didn't pay the bills.
Yep.
So therefore everyone's Movie Pass stopped working. So they had to borrow I think it was $5 million in venture capital investment or tier 2 funding or something like that. Yeah. Either way, it seems as if Movie Pass is about to die.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because we're also in a world where Netflix is really cheap for the amount of quality of content you get. And a lot of like analysts and business people and whatnot have said Netflix really needs their price to go closer to $20 to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. And then you also have, by the same caveat, you have YouTube TV and PlayStation View and all these other sites coming along for like $40. We have video games at $60, and video games considered the best entertainment value per price there is. And it's just a very interesting sphere because it's not sustainable. No. We can't keep paying actors. For example, Netflix paid Adam Sandler, I think, $100 million for 4 terrible movies.
That was a bad business decision on their part. They deserve to go under just for that alone.
But you have, for example, No Man's Sky is over $100 million into the game. And it's, I meant not No Man's Sky, Star Citizen. Yeah. Over $100 million into the game. You have games like Destiny, I believe, with licensing and everything. I think the first Destiny cost them $1 billion.
Something close to that.
Which is an unheard of amount of money for a game to only be $60, really. And that's why, to me, we're going to have to see media prices go up because we just kind of came out of, our generation was the worst generation of LimeWire and torrenting and ripping songs and all that stuff. And you also have Spotify and everything. It's like $10 a month for so much music. I mean, I buy I buy specific artist CDs still just to collect them and to have them. And I still buy 1 or 2 of those a month, but those are like $15, $20. Yeah. I pay more for that one CD than I do for Spotify, which is crazy.
But there's a fix for that, though. The artists just don't have to allow them to use their stuff.
We see that how that worked with Taylor Swift on Spotify,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
you know, all her
not.
she pulled all of her stuff. Like told her publishing company she wanted to pull it, and it lasted for maybe like 3 to 6 months before she realized she was losing too much money off of it. She put all her stuff back.
Oh, wow.
It's just very interesting because our generation seemingly wants everything cheaper, but something I'm like a huge advocate of is like speak with your wallets. And we're a generation where like we don't speak with our wallet. We get stuff really, really cheap, and I'm confident like if Netflix goes up to $20, they'll probably go under. Because half the people will be like, that's double the price. No, I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, I mean, you had that one guy come out and say, oh, they'll deal with it. They've been spoiled too long, and then Netflix tanked. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Netflix because I've been watching their stock over the past couple of weeks.
It's the glass boat.
Yeah, dude, it's interesting watching that roller coaster.
I know that I think you guys all saw on my Twitter account. I tweeted about the Fox deal. I was talking about the IPs that Fox is getting. They're getting like The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Horror, like some really big movies, and these are all stuff that's on Netflix.
Yep.
And in 12 months, they're probably gonna pull it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, if Netflix is gonna have to depend on their own shows, what are you gonna do? And it's not that I dislike the content. Like I really like some of the Amazon original content, some of the Netflix original content, even like YouTube content creators and whatnot. I enjoy all of these, but it's gonna be something where we have to speak with our wallet. So like to me, like what to you do you think is going to happen? And then also like with the most likely price increase or stuff's going away, how do we solve this problem?
The combination of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, the price has to increase. It's not sustainable now, so things are going to go away. Things that are just not. They're going to be. We've already seen the AA game disappear. It's slowly creeping back up. The second games go up to a standard of $80. It's going to go away again because it's just not going to be sustainable.
Gaming, especially, is very odd to me because I don't understand why it's like you're an indie game and you're $20 or you're $60. That's it.
It's because that $60 price point is that sweet spot of I can splurge a little bit on $60. You hit 80 and people are like,
yeah, but I mean, we even saw Knack. Like Knack was like, hey, we're not a $60 game, $50. I at least get that. It's like I don't understand why studios aren't like, hey, we're not a $60 game.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank came out on PS4 and they're like, no, we're $40.
Yeah.
The problem is that the $60 price point has been so solidified now over the course of arguably
10 years.
10 years now, yeah. I mean, it is what people expect to pay.
Yeah.
And because of that, if you're below that point, your budget. And that's just built into our DNA now. And that's something that I've argued for a long time we need to get away from. I do think that in every marketplace, there is a medium that to be played with. I mean, video games is a great one. Right now, tomorrow, Chasm drops. Chasm is a game that's been in development for 5.5 years on PS4 and Vita. The guy's charging $20 for it. Yeah. I'm totally going to pay $20 for that game because not only is it taking it forever to develop, they need to recoup some of that expense. I understand that $20 is worth the bang for my buck. It's a 10 to 12 hour game. Cool. Yep. Totally down for that. Yep. So I think that people need to play with the medium more often. I love the Hellblade came out at $30. I want more of that. Yep. Witness came out at $40. That was a news story across the spectrum. This indie game from Jonathan Blow is $40. The game came out, nobody talked about the price point again because the game was awesome.
Yeah.
People are starting, in our generation more than anything else, is starting to replace cable with the options. So it's like, I just want HBO Go, Amazon, Netflix, Funimation. Those are the 4 things I pay for. And altogether, I'm paying a third of what I paid for a cable package.
Yep. What's killer to me, though, like, to me, it's not about saving money. And, like, I don't mean that in an arrogant, I have money way. I just mean that in, like, I want certain things, so therefore I'm going to pay for them. Like when I was talking to my roommate about it, he was talking about Movie Pass. He was like, yeah, I mean, Movie Pass is just not sustainable because, I mean, you go to 2 movies, you made your money back. And I was like, yeah, Netflix is also $10. You watch 3 movies. How much does a Redbox rental cost? $3. You rent 3 movies, you've paid for your entire thing. That doesn't seem sustainable either, right? Like you're just not getting you're not getting the money back to the people who made that $100 million movie.
Right.
Like Adam Sandler cost them $100 million for 4 movies, whether they were great 4 movies or whether they're bad 4 movies. How many subscription months it takes 1 million people?
Yeah.
It takes 100 million.
100,000.
Now, and you're baselining it too because they have multiple tiers.
Exactly.
So. Right.
But I was saying, like, the regular one, if it's 10 million people, it takes 1 month just to pay one person's salary.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're obviously not gonna continue to make money at this rate. Just like you're talking about, like 5 years to develop a $20 game. How many copies do you have to sell to pay 10 people's salaries for 5 years to make something?
Yeah,
it's crazy. So like to me, it's just spend money on what you want to spend it on, like, and just don't be shy about it. Like, I mean, I buy things like when sports are on that I care about, I get sports channels. When Game of Thrones or Westworld or any of those are on, I get HBO. When a big fight comes on that I want, buy the fight. Twitch people, subscribe to them.
Yeah.
CDs, buy them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
that's the thing with the music though. Is CDs, it was easy to control, and then the digital media came out, and everybody sucked it up. And like you said, we were line wiring, Share Bear, Morpheus, like.
Well, but even iTunes was still sort of a shutdown for albums as it was, because you could buy the individual songs that you. No. I mean, iTunes, you could buy the individual songs that you wanted.
Yeah, why buy a whole album?
Like, yeah, exactly. You could buy the individual songs.
I only like 3 songs on your CD.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
We would go buy discs, rip them using iTunes, and then go sell the discs back.
You guys are Satanists. Oh,
I mean, this is early on. We had hardly any money, so
I don't talk
middle school.
LimeWire and then FrostWire were my things. You know, I mean, like I've even done torrenting too, so I understand. You know, like
his IP address is.
No, but
a long time ago before it was illegal.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the stuff that I have, like I do pay for. I mean, I pay for a Hulu subscription. Now Netflix allows families, so I bum off my dad's Netflix subscription, which is actually another thing too, because they may have a certain number of subscribers, but I wonder whether or not.
How many people are sharing?
Exactly,
100%.
You know, that kind of thing. There's an illegality there. I'll touch on maybe later, but the point is, I guess you really, I agree. You need to pay for things. One of the things I wanted to touch on is for the price to go up, some people are going to have to get shut down in the meantime.
Yeah.
Well,
because some people are going to flounder for that to happen. And if other companies just kind of follow suit and say, all right, we're going to continue to do this because, games. Okay, first off, like God of War, would you have paid $80 for God of War?
100%.
I'd have paid $100.
But that's what I'm saying.
Contest.
You know, like games that I feel like are justifiable in that price point, I feel like are justifiable to be at that price point, and you're still going to get the name because the title alone is going to push people to buy it. Yes, you're going to sell less units.
$80 now. I wouldn't have before I played the game,
right?
Because I wasn't.
See, well, but even if like a few people buy it, because let's be real, anybody who does any kind of game streaming or videos about games, that kind of thing, or even reviews alone, will be like, yeah, this game is awesome and totally worth it, and then your sales go right back up again.
Yeah.
Yep. To me, it's so much about like we have a. I don't know. I guess our generation is very odd. We just want to consume things, and it's like I don't want to say it's like an arrogant, like privileged type scenario where like we feel like I guess entitled to certain things.
Why not?
But
why
like
would we be entitled?
I mean, I have no idea why we would be, but I just mean like in terms of like we deserve things at this rate, or like for example, like when people like there's tons of people who torrent TV and movies and whatnot. Like, and I mean, I think all of us at the table probably downloaded music at some point illegally, and like. At the end of the day, if we all do that, then your favorite artist isn't going to make music.
Yep.
They're not going to go on tour. You're not going to get that. Like, that's just how it works, and it sucks. But, like, if you want it, you should pay for it.
You should
for the
100%
record, once we figured that out, we stopped doing that.
Right.
And like, once we grew a conscience.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we're all in that area in the table.
I think that we are. I think that a lot of our generation isn't.
I don't disagree at all.
Well, to be fair, though, okay, so, like, the options available there for me to get it. Well, okay, let's throw the illegal side of things, getting things for free that way. But like, do you want to pay $20 for an album or something like that, or even like $1 per song versus paying the $10 a month for Spotify? I mean, but the only way to get around that is to have somebody shut Spotify down in some sense like that.
Right. My thing about like Spotify, like, and I think it's going to be very dramatic of. When the day comes and Spotify and Apple Music and all of them are like, this $10 thing we were doing or this like $15 family thing we were doing, we can't do that. It's gonna be like $50 now. Like I'm still gonna be cool with that. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Makes sense to me. Yeah. But like, how many people in our generation are like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go download it. It's
I think that's what's interesting here because we talk about we're talking here about like different companies and how some of them have to bow out, and I think of the cable companies of the past, how it's now basically Comcast, AT&T, because AT&T owns DirecTV, and that's it. But beforehand, there were, 10, in the 90s, and they were all competing for your living room, and now it's just a bigger breadth of the world all competing. But it's Netflix and Hulu. They're doing the same thing. I have Netflix over Hulu because I also have HBO. But once the price of Netflix goes up, I have to justify, am I going to keep HBO? Do I only keep it for the spurts? Because right now I have no problem giving them the $16 a month that I pay because whenever I'm bored and there's nothing I want to watch on Netflix, I hop over to HBO and go, oh, that's right, there's an episode of John Oliver. I forgot this existed for 6 months.
Yep.
Totally fine with that.
Yep.
But I do think that the rising the price will start limiting selection, but that also means that the people who are out there have to make premium content. They have to have enough there for people to want to pay that price.
I just want to point this out that we don't even pay for porn.
Yeah, most people don't.
Yeah, actually, right.
I was actually, what was it? I think it's Anna Kendrick's her name. And some celebrity recently tweeted about she recently tweeted like something about free porn out there. Then like people just started slamming her, like, you're an actress and you make money and like you don't even buy porn type stuff.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like, I mean, they're kind of right. I mean, I guess if you're like a big porn advocate, like you probably should support those people if that's what you're into. I mean, that does make sense.
There are people that do spend lots and lots of money on that stuff. I just think that to the 80-20 or maybe even 90-10 ratio, you got someone spending $1 to someone not spending anything. But someone who's bypassing this whole little system that we're talking about, like, oh, they have to shut off and immediately do this and that and the other. It's Amazon, the music. You still have Amazon's music still available with the subscription. Yeah. But you get Amazon Music Unlimited if you want to pay a little bit more. And so they're kind of bypassing that whole, hey, this is all of a sudden going to be more expensive up front. No one really looks at it. And if you really want to use the service, you can. And Netflix talked about doing it. I think they're pushing something out right now where you're able to, you have to pay more for HDR quality as opposed to standard quality.
Yeah, for 4K and HDR.
Yeah, so I mean, they're looking towards it and they're looking for ways to fix the gap without making everybody go crazy.
Well, see, I think that a lot of that is like stuff that like they have to, and like what you're talking about with, I feel like when we were kids there was a million options. Yeah. Whereas I feel like now it's like you said, there's like 4 options. But it's interesting because like, I mean, it's very interesting how our government handles things and whatnot at certain times. But like, just the way regulation has went, it's allowed for us to essentially have these big companies drive the price as low as it possibly can, so that no one else is there. And then now when they increase the price, it's like,
no one's there.
No one's there.
Yeah. I think Netflix should become a government utility.
I definitely think it's very interesting. And you also have free games as well, which I think for certain games are super sustainable. I was actually listening to, oddly enough, an old pro gamer streaming the other day, Cloud9's Shroud, and he was talking about free-to-play games, and he's like, hey, I mean, it's very interesting. Like, if you want to make a free-to-play VR, like, there's only a couple of studios that should ever do that, and, like, even Epic, when they released Fortnite, there was a lot of bots, there was a lot of like hacking, there was a lot of bad stuff, and it's because they weren't prepared for it. Like maybe Activision could get away with it because Activision is basically like a superpower in gaming, and like they know how to deal with hacking. They they have the infrastructure for that. But if you're like a cheap little indie game studio and you're like, hey, I want to get my game out there because it's free, it's like, yeah, you're gonna get torn apart with hackers and modders because you can't handle it.
Yeah. Well, we saw it. I mean, even well-known game developers, Cliffy B, his 2 games both just got, granted, completely different circumstances in this instance, but I mean, you're right. You have to be careful about what marketplace you're stepping into as well. Yep. I am interested. You got on free to play, and I was reading an article today about how analysts are looking at the digital sales overall this year compared to last year, and they're up 25%.
And they're going to keep doing, and they're going to keep following that.
But if you take Fortnite out, they're down 6%.
Yeah.
If you take Fortnite out entirely.
What's crazy to me is those stats is whenever you see that these are all like super up, especially across the board. It used to be oddly enough, not really oddly enough, obviously enough, I guess, heavily jaded by games like League of Legends and Counter-Strike. Yeah. They would be like, oh, digital sales are like up 25%. It's like, yeah, but what are digital game sales? Oh, they're down 15%.
Yeah. But is that because they're not spending that money that they would have on Counter-Strike or Fortnite on another game?
Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a catch-22. Well, I mean, some of it's just less games coming out. I mean, part of it is, I think Steam for a couple years, like 4 or 5 years ago, when they started heavily doing the Steam summer sales, I feel like most PC gamers got most of what they wanted in the span of like 2 big sales. Yeah. Like that's my library went from like 100 games to 300 games in like 2 sales, and I was like, oh well, I'm not gonna play these anymore. Wow, I got a lot.
Go to a real world example. How many boxes did you have pile up from Amazon Prime Day?
Good bit.
So sales, like deals and all that stuff, especially when they run heavy deals like that. I mean,
Yeah.
There's a
And then
picture
plus, I
online
mean, like,
with the
it's-
door being blocked by boxes.
Yeah.
It says,
And it's like, how many times can I buy Skyrim? I mean, obviously they want me to buy it quite a few times,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm only gonna buy it once on PC.
But you're asking what we think is going to happen. I definitely think there's going to be a price increase and the choice is going to go away. Because I don't think it's sustainable any other way. I think we're going to see a fluctuation until a better technology comes out or a better service in which that's going to come in and try and undercut the big ones like Netflix, like HBO, like whoever's around at that time.
Do you think even from both a gaming and a media standpoint, we're going to continue to survive on the subscription model? Or do you think we're going to go back to an individual model?
I think you're going to
Like
see
with gaming, for example, EA Access could very well. What if EA Access doubles its price and then they don't sell games?
that would really suck because
That would be dumb.
they're no longer going to give away free games
yeah.
off of it. Yeah, they announced that. I think
Sucks.
that.
What's the purpose?
Yeah, I think the subscription service itself is going to fluctuate back and forth. I think we are going to see I think Amazon has a great marketplace because you have Prime videos and then you have the option to rent.
Yep,
and
I
it
love
is one of the smartest things that I think is out there because there's so many times where I'm like, I bet you this is on Prime. And I get there, I'm like, oh, it was on there last month. It's only $3.
I get it, yeah.
What's $3?
Well, I mean, PS View is individually based, like catered to more of.
For the most part, it still has bundling. You have to buy specific
You gotta buy the
bundles to
basic
get
bundle.
things.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, obviously, you're going to be able to tailor it to you a lot more than
Yeah.
you would be if you had to do it, say, with a subscription type of way. And if that was the case, wouldn't you think that would be more successful than?
I
Netflix
do. I mean, I do prefer the PlayStation one. If they didn't have the baseline package, I would never have got the baseline package because I don't watch normal crap. I just watch sports.
Yeah.
So like, I would get the basic package. I think it was like $30 at the time, and then I would spend the $10 on sports every month. Now, granted, I'm just paying. If you could give me a $10 option for sports, I would never unsubscribe. If you want to know that,
Yeah.
future reference.
I think that's the problem with View right now is that it still is built on the idea that you have to have a basic package and then you add expansions onto that.
Yeah.
If you make it truly a la carte, where it is, we've got cartoon bundle, sports bundle,
or individual channels even.
I don't think you could ever do that because so many channels are
tied into the same.
tied
companies.
into the same network and are carried by that revenue stream.
Well, no, what I'm saying is though, like the individual pricing of like a single channel would actually be higher than like the individual channel value of purchasing the bundle. Is what I'm saying. So,
But what I'm saying is like HGTV and the Cooking Network and all that. Like one of those is a lower performer, but it rounds out their repertoire. So they want to keep all three bundled, so that way they're making the same amount of money and they don't have to sacrifice on one.
And they're also able to put up just as many, if not more, advertisements.
That's legitimately why satellite TV. That's why when we went from cable to satellite, we went from like tens of channels to hundreds of channels, is because they would just raise each other up using one network that had like 25 of them. It's also the reason why they don't want to separate from that, despite the fact that a la carte is what consumers want.
interesting. Okay.
I don't think you're going to see subscriptions going away anytime soon. I think that you're going to find companies finding ways to wheedle their way around it without making everybody too mad, because they realized the upfront position was too much for people to handle, regardless of how real it is. It doesn't matter to them. As a consumer, they care about what they want and how they can get it at the best convenience. So when you come down, when you boil it down, I think in general, I think subscriptions are going to be fine for a while.
Yeah.
But I think you are going to start seeing much more of a centralized individual catered to momentum being pushed, but it's just not going to be sustainable.
Well, and I don't see a reason why Netflix wouldn't go, hey, we got Netflix Lite. It's $10 a month. One person can watch it. That's it.
That's what they do now.
I mean, they
No,
do.
because you can have two on the baseline
You can only
$10.
have one at a time.
You
Yes.
can have two people watching at the same
What?
time.
I thought you could only do one.
You
at a
can
time.
have two
No.
people watching at the same
Yeah.
time. So they still have wiggle room to kind of cut costs wherever they want to.
And they also raised the price recently too. It was like a couple bucks.
I think it's $11 for the basic package
Yeah.
and 14 for the.
I was gonna say
higher
maybe
whatever.
they changed their packaging system too. So let's say because Netflix originals cost them directly heavy amounts of money. So let's say you have to pay for an upper tier just to be able to see Netflix originals, which includes Stranger Things, Orange Is the New Black, like bigger names.
They're
Anyway,
making
That's
them
why
around. Castlevania.
That's why, to me, like what Brent was saying, like That's why I've always thought why I don't understand why Google doesn't join them as well with YouTube, which they do. With YouTube TV, it's just a little farther behind Amazon.
That, and they've seemed to pull from the Vine crowd, which really has kind of died off from a lot of that.
No,
so
I'm
I
talking
don't
YouTube TV, like
YouTube's
live TV.
I'm talking about Red,
Because like if you go on YouTube and you search like dodgeball, then you can just watch the movie and you can buy it and have it.
They've been doing a pretty good job advertising that too, because I'll watch videos about a movie, and in that like watch next is right there. Yep, you can purchase that movie.
And I really think that's why once again Google and Amazon, I think they're in the position to survive because. Oh, Amazon Originals didn't pan out. I think Bezos has got some money.
Yeah.
I think he's like, I can eat this. But when Netflix is like, hey, we just had 4 Adam Sandler movies tank, the investors are like, get out. You gone.
But I think big piece of that too is Google and Amazon have big revenue streams from other avenues.
Yep.
I mean, Amazon's Amazon as well as the AWS service, and if they made Prime Video and Prime Music two separate services, even then the revenue streams are ridiculous for that.
There's so much room to play. Like I could easily see Netflix going, you've got your basic tier where you don't stream, you can only download. So you have to download a video to watch it, and that would cut out costs for a consumer, along with them having to have that streaming off their servers. It's literally just straight download. You play it in their client. Like that saves them money right there. And it's kind of silly compared to what we're doing now, but anybody who's willing to pay $6 a month for that, sure.
I would. There's no.
Well, yeah, but I could still see that being like a restricted package if you only have access to
absolutely.
This small sub tier of like network providers who have given us this content, because they also rotate content in and out too. So you only get access to like, let's say 20, 30 shows or 20, 30 movies, like added in there. And then all of a sudden you pay for the upper tiers to get access to the other
absolutely.
networks.
I think it's really funny to watch everyone, even today, still talking about cord cutting. Everyone's cord cutting. They're getting away from the bundling. They're getting away from this. They want freedom. I was like, well, freedom only lasts as long until they're the top dog. And then all of a sudden they have all the control. And that's where we're going to get to. Granted, again, like we've talked about, we are reaping the benefits right now. We are paying far less for entertainment and consuming far more than we actually are. Like then the equation makes out. So it's going to be really interesting to see how people turn on the market. I do see a lot because generally an individual gets older, they usually get more conservative. It's really easy to see our generation go, well, guess what? We are going to like go ahead and pay for this because this is what we grew up. This is what we wanted. Like we'll support Netflix until the next new thing comes in to try and knock them off their feet.
Yeah.
The solution? We need to make our own content.
Hey, you guys.
Well, this is actually a pretty good stopping point.
Yeah, we can move into yours.
Yeah, because we're talking about the companies having to vie for every dollar, and we got GameStop, who I'm still in the prediction mode that I think we're going to see GameStop have a huge either change in leadership, or you're going to start. They're already closing a bunch of stores, so I think that you're going to start seeing them dying here very soon. I know that they're making up a lot of money with their small material products like Funko Pops and other little trinkets here and there, but I think without some kind of addition to their ability to sell games as in a digital storefront, I think they're going to die. And I'm wondering, do you guys think there's any way that they would be able to find a way to survive, and if so, how?
I think they threw in their last-ditch effort, which is services. The trade-in program is really where they make a ton of money. But I think with like the cell phones crap, they're taking in iPads, and then now the Funko Pops and whatnot, I don't think they're in a good spot. I think Best Buy is a huge anomaly right now. I don't know how much you guys super stalk the business world, but Best Buy is the only real major company who is like keeping up with Amazon. They're the only brick and mortar store that's not sliding heavily right now.
That's because they don't have to buy the products they're selling.
Exactly, on demand. It's a good market for them, but also they've done a really good job with their online store. They've done a really good job with shipping, and like if I go and buy a video game, I'm much more keen to be like, oh, I'm gonna go look at a camera. Oh man, look, Gran Turismo's out. I forgot all about that. Let me buy that. Yeah. There's never a day where I'm just like, I'm gonna go walk around GameStop. It's just not something you do.
I do it.
Even then, it's like a 5-minute trip. So
yeah, but
it's a small store.
If it's in a mall, like it makes sense. But like I feel like even around here, like most of the GameStops are set-top stores.
Yeah.
Like you got the one over near like Boardwalk Billy's and stuff. You do have the one at Concord Mills, but then a couple of the others like are in little shopping centers and whatnot. Yeah. If it's in a mall, like cool, you might hit it.
The only time I ever go to the one that's over by Boardwalk Billy's is if I'm going to dinner. Like I don't ever go out of my way to go there.
Right.
And that's
the
that
closest
is a problem.
one to you.
Yeah, that is the closest one. Yeah.
And that's why I think it's just an odd place. Like, and then on top of that, like if you're gonna go buy something online, where are you gonna buy from?
Amazon. I'm not
gonna buy from Amazon. Exactly.
Well,
Worst case scenario.
Steam. Yeah.
unless it's Steam. But like worst case scenario, like I want to go get it today. Like if I told you to like, hey, for some weird reason, I was like, hey, let's all get a copy of Division and play tonight. Would you go? Be weird. It would be weird, but would you go on to Best Buy and be like, oh look, they have it in Concord Mills, I'm gonna go pick it up? Yeah. To me, that just makes sense. Now, granted,
I'd probably end up going to GameStop because it'd be cheaper, and it's been out for a while.
Well, you could price match Amazon either place.
Okay.
I'd probably go to Target because I probably need to get something else at the store, and that's just an easy way to do it.
That's another issue though with the GameStop point though. Like, I would just go to Best Buy because it's like, oh, I can look online real quick. I mean, if GameStop had it, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But like you said, like you would go to Target because it's closer to your house and easier.
I go to GameStop because I actually physically want to support brick and mortar stores because I am truly afraid of the digital age and what it's going to mean. It's coming around the corner, and people are going to be really disappointed when everybody pulls a rug out from everybody going, you weren't ready for this, were you, motherfuckers?
I don't think it's going to, like, for example, I don't think they're going at Target or Walmart or Best Buy. I think those places are going to stick around. I think the specialty shop aspect of GameStop is what will be its end.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only way I could see is...
On top of that, GameStop, I do like the merit of supporting the brick and mortar stores, but GameStop does pipe game developers with pre-owned. Like they give nothing back to the devs.
That is up to the consumer to buy brand new.
Yeah.
Now, if you say there's a game that you can't really get a hold of, and it's not really an online market for, I don't know, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 for Dreamcast.
But you're not going to find that at GameStop either, where they're piping developers on new games that people are.
Well, there's a bunch of little. I mean. Yeah, I guess that'd be more of same point games.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really keep anything that's not current gen and maybe one generation behind. Yeah. You would be remiss to find a Vita or a Wii U or a Wii game. I find them all
the time sitting in the thing saying
the bargain bin. But I mean, it's like that's a big thing to me about why I'm not a big fan of GameStop. Is just because like, cool. Like for example, God of War Day One, you buy it, you don't like it for whatever reason, then you take it to GameStop. One, they're gonna give you like $30. They're gonna resell it for like $55, and then when Brent goes to pick it up, they're like, "Oh, you could save $5 and get this one." And there's a lot of people like, "Yeah, I'll just save $5." And it's like, and that developer gets nothing.
Yeah,
neat.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I'm not saying that it's a broken system, and I wish that there was a way to fix it now. Yeah. But there's no way for them to compete digitally. There's just not. I mean, you've got the PSN, you've got the Xbox, you've got, I mean,
Amazon.
Specifically, you mentioned the Division Origin, you guys were talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Best Buy, I'm going to GameStop. I'll be like, I'm going to be the rebel here apparently and go to EA Origin and just download it because I can have it.
No, you're
like
safe.
You play. You play.
Yeah.
Oh, you play. I'm sorry. Yeah, right.
Here for you, buddy.
What am I thinking?
Yeah. I mean, it's still another crappy game, but you can at least buy the Division on Steam.
The only way that you're going to see GameStop around in the next 15 years is going to be through some shady streaming service in which it has nothing to do with their brick and mortar. It's going to be a complete 180. It's going to
$25 a month, any used game you want, one round all the time. If they do that, I would cry.
I would die. Wow. I don't think it's even going to be that. I think it will be streaming. I think they're going to try and compete with Steam and other things, but they're going to fail miserably at it. They had their opportunity when they tried to become a game publisher. They started publishing a few games. They didn't make a lot of money off of it, so they stopped. And that's the hard part. They should have kept going. They should have. It sucks as being a publisher because not every game's a win, and you're going to lose some money in the upfront. But
unless you're Naughty Dog, then every game's a win.
Listen, Crash Bandicoot was not that well remembered when it first came out. People were not happy with it. Everyone has rose-tinted glasses all of a sudden. Like, Crash Bandicoot's the best game ever. People were very frustrated and hated that game for a long time.
Crash Team Racing, come on, CDR.
It's a platformer training video is what it is. I think me and Mark were talking about this earlier, and I hate to steal this from you, Mark, and I'll give you the floor if you want it because you really came out with it, is the board games. Bring in the other side of games that people aren't thinking about. It's GameStop. It's not Video GameStop. It's GameStop. What if they go back and say, hey, we're going to support Magic of the Gathering games and doing all this other stuff,
those are
board
comic
games.
Book stores. Yeah. And also Best Buy now has them.
I'm just saying, just to broaden their perspective and bring in game nights to doing things.
The problem is
places for people to come do this.
Right. If you look at the average GameStop, the size of it is smaller.
52 square foot.
It's about as wide as this room we're in now, and then twice the length. There's no way you can hold a game night in a place like that.
No, I mean they would have to change up a few things, but I mean, explain the numbers that you were talking about earlier.
Okay, so apparently in the
we're melding Mark's topic into
2016.
Sean's topic. We're fusing the topics.
It really looked like you were
getting. He was doing it over the top.
I know. slacked.
It really looked like you were dabbing actually out of the corner of my eye, which. Oh, okay.
You're in the middle.
You got in the way.
All right. Anyway, no.
You just got fingered.
So from 2000, if I remember right from the article, the statistic was from 2006 to 2016. Did some year range like that. Anyway, the initially board game market had only increased in profit yearly from like 9.3 to 9.6 billion dollars. Over just the last year or two, so I think it was 2017, it increased 24%.
I am not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. You know why? One, we play games more often away from each other now than any other time. So coming together for something like an event is fun. Two, nerdy's cool.
Yep.
D&D is now cool.
On top of that, one, I think theming's a big deal because there's been a lot of really cool theming games that, like, I mean, for example, for the past, from we'll say 1950 to 2010, how many variants of Monopoly could you really get? You had like, oh, I got Monopoly. Now it's like, oh, there's Game of Thrones Monopoly, and that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a New York Yankees Monopoly. That's freaking cool, etc. Like Catan. Like, I've been trying not to spend $70 on Game of Thrones Catan, but like, it's really cool.
That would be baller. But the other thing is, because gaming, like that kind of nerdy gaming is cool again, is that it's becoming more popular and you're seeing more events. We here in Charlotte have Potions and Pixels, which is an awesome event this dude throws with his wife once every 2 weeks.
We also have which I don't know why you guys don't really go, the little meeple place over there.
Yeah, a place right here. Actually, that was a place I was talking to John about earlier. Like, when did that open? Like, it seems like
it's been open since we were in college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's
a really popping place.
Well, no, I feel like I didn't even know that it was open, or feel like I really knew that it was that popping until like we had kind of driven past it one day, and I just saw like there was tons of people there.
A lot more often.
So imagine GameStop, same size as GameStop.
Yeah.
But then imagine like a quarter of a Best Buy. That's a whole seating area. So it's like GameStop is a storefront for it's just got comic books, or it's a little bit of comic books, but mainly like board games, card games, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards. So they have tons of board games. Then they have this big seating area where it's like they have Magic tournaments, they have Hero Click tournaments, they have board game night every Friday night and whatnot.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
It just seems like an untapped market that could easily be attained by GameStop if they throw a little bit of money into it.
I think it's being tapped is the thing. I think it's being tapped is the thing, and they're going to be too late. I knew you were getting there, but no, I think though that those businesses are around, and I feel like either they're growing and getting bigger because there's a bigger fan base for it now. There's more participation now. I guess particularly as our generation is finally coming into it, where we can go, you know what, this is cool, and I'm going to spend more money on this now that I have money to throw at this kind of stuff. And we're going to revive a lot of this older stuff that we probably knew since we were younger but didn't really play because it wasn't cool at the time. Because that was one of the things you and I talked about was, at the time, nerdy wasn't cool when we were younger.
Well, I was about to say, even not necessarily to that, but like, for example, when you guys were kids, do you remember your parents buying a new board game, or do you remember your parents having a board game?
Yeah, having.
I was going to say, if you want to talk about going niche, I mean, video games are already a niche, and then you're going even further in. The concept isn't a bad one. The problem is that GameStop itself, the company, is spread too thin. Yep. They have too many stores they would have to close.
Well, they are closing them.
Too many locations in which they're just not making the sales. And then you have an industry that is slowly moving away from brick and mortar. I just don't think that putting board games in there or replacing everything with just board games is going to help them at all.
They have to diversify or they're going to die.
Yeah, they need to move into the digital spectrum where their industry is moving.
But to me, is it too little too late?
Though? I do think so. I
think they're condemned.
They're owned by Spring Mobile, which owns a bunch of like authorized AT&T stores and stuff like that. And I just, if they keep them, I would be super surprised.
Wait, I would too.
At this point in time, unless they
That's why they have cell phones.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have cell phone contracts and whatnot too.
Okay, because it wasn't Sprint that also bought Radio Shack when
it was
died
Cricket
too.
for a while, then they sold them.
I don't remember who bought them, but that's
I'm almost certain it's Sprint. Yeah, Yellow Mars.
Spring, not Sprint.
Oh, Spring.
SPRING.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
What I do think, to me, like, when I think of GameStop, like, I mean, granted, I obviously didn't go there a ton as a kid, but to me, the good air quote memories I have of GameStop would be like, hey, they're doing like a midnight Call of Duty release, and it was like an event. Like, you would go at like 5 p.m., they would have the new game set up, and then you could just play the game, and like they'd be like the GameStop right near you that you're talking about. You go to sometimes. The building at the end of it, they would rent out that building for the day. And they would set up like tables and stuff in there. So like the new Call of Duty or the new Halo or whatever's coming out, they have tables set up so you can go there, you can play for a couple hours, and it's all people who are going to be there at midnight buy the game, so they're kind of your people. So it's like a very targeted thing, but then like they stopped doing that. So it's like, so like you don't have the people events. Like I'm not going to go there and like not to be like uppity or anything, but would any of us ever go there and be like, recommend me a game, mighty store clerk?
No.
We're gonna be like, I'm gonna go to Game Informer, IGN, and be like, what do I want to play?
You could turn it into a Game Frog, like where you could go in and rent time to
I do
play.
think VR arcades
are gonna be a thing.
I think that could come back.
That would be cool.
I think the Game Frog style could come back with VR arcades. I hope it does, because like, let them do midnight releases. I'll go play COD 6 hours early and hang out with you guys.
And
go
you're
home
paying
and
the entire time you're playing.
Or have it like karaoke style, where you could literally have them in rooms
and rent a room,
and you guys party all night and hang out, and you ain't got to worry about the cleanup afterwards, and you just VR'd all your games off. You know, playing Dance Dance Revolution or whatever.
Playing that XXX game.
If they truly want to keep the retail space, they definitely needed to create a reason for people to be there other than just buying a game. I think that's their biggest problem. I think that's why Best Buy does so well. I think that's why the big box stores are doing fine, because they've diversified their products.
Because you're going to go look for a TV and mess up and buy Gran Turismo.
It's the number one thing I do when I go to Best Buy is I go and look at the TVs. I'm like, oh man, these are really nice.
I really like that.
But and then you walk back by the games, like, oh man, I didn't know this game was out. Nah, I get it.
Well, I'm always looking for the exclusive stuff too. I'm like, they got a little bit of, that's kind of cool.
Well, they make it big enough and nice enough to just sort of browse. And I mean, I'm not the kind of person to browse, but you know, like if I'm going with you on a trip to Best Buy because you're getting something specific, or even if you're going to browse for something, yeah, sure, I'm gonna walk around, I'm gonna look at stuff, but that's not the kind of store where I'm gonna, normally do that. Even
how many times will we end up at GameStop? When's the last time you've been in GameStop?
No, seriously, you were talking about Halo midnight release. Halo 4's midnight release is the last time I was actually at a GameStop. Wow.
I do like walking into GameStop. I like the store where I get to walk in and I feel comfortable.
You like that robotic thing welcoming you now?
I have not heard such a thing.
You've not been there in a while.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They have a robot voice, so when you walk in, it's like, hello, welcome to GameStop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I haven't been the one up
there.
It
greets you.
It's supposed to.
When you walk in, it's like an electronic greeting. I guess because the person doesn't do it anymore.
It's supposed to improve customer service, I guess.
I also look at GameStop as a time capsule. Like, it is the one thing when I'm traveling, I'm like, well, I'm bored for 5 minutes. I'll walk in and see what things they sell. Like, Vita games I search for because you can tell a town by what Vita games are left on their shelf. And that is intriguing to me. But it is pure my own twisted amusement. It's not to buy a game. Like, I don't ever go in there going, I'm going to pick something up. We have something.
They don't have the Vita games, and that's all you carry with you.
There's a little local store here called Save Point Games. That's right up the road from where I live. And that's a great little thing that does a bunch of... they do modern games, but it's primarily retro games.
They won't sell me that. They won't sell me that X-Men cabinet.
They won't. But they have cabinets and stuff.
The 4-player one.
Yeah.
And they're larger than the average GameStop, not by much, but larger than the average GameStop. And how they survive is they do events. Every week, there's at least 3 events going on in that store.
But it's cool. I like it. I wish the space was a little bigger. I wish they also had board games.
I agree.
That's my only issue with them. I understand rental rates probably don't allow for that, but...
Yeah, so, I mean...
So, I guess the moral of the story is, does anybody see a future for GameStop?
No.
Wow.
Long live board games.
I think you could do it, but you're going to have to try really fucking hard.
You got one believer over there.
I am excited to see where the in-person aspect of board games, and not just board games, card games, even arcade-style stuff, where that continues, because... As we get older, we're seeing the rise of barcades. You know, people like to drink and hang out and have fun. I would not be surprised if you start seeing, not necessarily Starbucks, but other local cafes start having an N64 with a little TV in the corner. Like, that aspect, I do think is worth holding on to, especially as we move further and further into, hey, we're buying digital, we're playing online, all of that stuff. All great, very convenient. Allows us to game with our friend who's in Kentucky, who we get to have good weekends with. But I do think that personal connection, that intimate connection when you're with someone on the couch playing a game, regardless of what that game is, is going to be a selling factor here in the future.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to the day that digital does truly take over, which it will be here in the next few years.
Welcome to the digital future.
You ain't gonna be driving your car.
It'll be a little bit after 2019.
I mean, just think about it. Think about the way music died. No one really thought about it, and all of a sudden it was boom. It's all digital.
I still CDs on those shelves.
You can buy CDs, but Best Buy is no longer going to carry them.
The last Linkin Park CD I bought was CD.
Park City.
Oh, I have two of them. My mom was this
Park
weekend
City,
was
Utah?
like, "Hey, by the way, I had this came in the mail for you." I was like, "Why do I have two?" One More Light was the CD.
Yeah.
Thank
Park City, Utah.
you. Lincoln Park CD.
Oh, okay.
I was really coming up with
I
that.
thought you said Park City, and I was like, Park City, Utah? We're going snowboarding? This sounds great.
It does, actually. I'm totally down for it.
But it seems like we're ending on a downer note. Mark, does that include your topic? Do you want to talk more about it? I do feel like we kind of wrapped it in and continued the conversation.
No, but I mean, we pretty much touched on it. I mean, pretty heavily.
Why are you all 5? Good Lord.
I wouldn't be me if I wasn't 5.
Thank you for joining us this week. We are willing to listen to your comments, so please feel free to leave them down below. Mark, where are the comments? Where are the links? They're up here. They're somewhere up here.
No.
I think they're above the title, right? No. They're above the title.
No.
And as always,
you know I'm looking at you.
Aim for the bushes.